Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? This looks a bit like it's going to be
We
as
can.
long as today. Hello, good evening.
Guten Abend.
So I hear you, Carsten. I see Marco. And everyone else is Java users. So Carsten, while we'll wait a bit for to see whether others join, have you had the chance to look at the notes I sent about the in the Shepherd review of the file magic?
Not
Because I
yet.
think. Hello,
It was
Francesca.
beyond the 2-minute threshold, so I didn't get to it yet.
Yeah.
But that's certainly something I will do tomorrow.
Speaking of file magic, just to confirm, Francesca, you will be the responsible AT for that one? Like basically for all CBOR documents, probably?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I see Rickard has joined us too. That makes at least 5 of us, so I'd say let's get started briefly. Thank you, Marco, for taking over on the notes side.
We haven't completed the full 4 minutes yet.
Yes, but... And Michael, you just joined in to disprove what I was about to say, that whether I start at 3 past or at 5 past won't make much of a difference.
4 past.
Is 4 past somehow the agreed upon time to wait?
Well, it's my empirical take on how IETF meetings work. Of course, people are coming later, but these are usually very few.
Okay. But then again, the first minute would be anyway just to go over the things that have popped up, being that Quick is looking into CDDL for maybe specifying a JSON format, and I think, Carsten, you put that there. And there is an update on notable tags now with the enumerated alternatives, or the enums. And that would be anything for today anyway. Is there anything is there anything we should add to the agenda right now?
Well, we could briefly talk about the text you were proposing for EDN.
Yep, that's a good point. Okay. Then on the topic of quick, considering CDDL, is there anything you'd like to say about that exceeding the point in the minutes? That's basically a pointer to their current document.
Yeah, so I got a really interesting mail from, I've forgotten the name already. It's incredible. From one of the QLog guys, and so they were essentially asking exactly the right questions. I mean, if I meet a student, I'm giving a specific task, and they ask exactly the questions I know that they will need to have answers for to do that task. I'm usually amazed, and so I'd love to have the person whose name I forget as a student, and so the my intention is to actually follow this um, discourse a little bit, and at the end write it up in an internet draft. So because we already have the text in the mail, so we might just copy it over. So this might become the seeds of using CDDL draft or something like that. So right now it's just happening in personal mail, but expect to bubble up something to bubble up from that soon.
Would be nice to have and to see the larger adoption. Are they bumping into anything where CDDL is reaching its limits, or is it really like CDDL does the task and you just have to use it right?
I think they have everything they need. Partially, it's also a matter of how do you actually put CDDL into an internet draft or RFC. So that's also something we probably should document best practices for. But I think for everything else, we have what we need. And the only thing we don't have is perfectly working CDDL tool, but that's not something the working group can do. So I'm still working on my next version that I'm supposed to have under the Christmas tree. It's getting there, but probably not before 1.13.
Part of that how to put CDDL in an internet draft might be doing something about accepting CDDL as a formal language, because I've now written my second or third chapter write up where I've written that there is formal language, but we don't have tooling to automatically verify it, so I copy pasted everything around.
Yeah, and that's probably something that we should be really pressing for when we have a CDDL tool that is fully up to speed. So the other formal language tools that are out there typically only do syntax checking. Now the version 2 tool already can do that, but of course it's much more useful to actually do validation and or generation. And then the quick people actually picked up that you can use the CDL tool for generating instances. And the one thing the tool doesn't do at the moment, apart from some pesky bugs, is making sure you have full coverage in these generated instances. So that's one of the nice things about ABNF Gen, that you can get that there.
Okay, questions, comments? none, let's move on to notable tags.
Okay, I found the name of Robin. Sorry about not remembering that, but there are so many names around Robert and Bob, and I always get confused there. Anyway, on the notable tags, I got another reminder from the Haskell people that there is this outstanding proposal to have tags for compiler managed alternative data items. So of course everybody can come up with a random handwritten CDDL for doing alternatives, but I think the interesting observation is that language environments like Haskell thrive on these alternative data items, and it would be good for their compiler to actually be able to put case numbers there that we can translate into tags on the CBOR side. So you don't have to allocate a new case number for every new data type, but you can share the case numbers between them. So I actually put that proposal into the notable tags document and did a blunder by requesting to use tag 101, which was earmarked for something else, and I was promptly corrected on the mailing list. But I think it would be good to have a few more eyes on this before we send the request to Ayana. So I think that's all I can report. Of course, there's also Jörg Richter reminded us there's also the old problem statement tag proposal, and I think we also should pick that up at some point. And it has been 2.5 years now, and yeah, we need to be quicker in handling these tag proposals.
One thing that occurred to me already when looking through that a few minutes earlier is that I think it doesn't say anything on the stability of the semantics, especially when they are like used with a compiler that automatically assigns them. It might be helpful to say something like different protocols might have different stability guarantees that might range from it only works within the same build to these numbers are part of our protocol.
Yeah, can you send a mail to that effect to the list?
Can do. Any users around who would volunteer that additional pair of eyes? It's never too late.
This is Michael. So I think what you're asking is for me to read your email and determine whether or not I agree with the logic for allocating these. Is that right? Is that the right question?
Well, the question is the text in notable tags good?
Yeah, good. All right.
It's not just the email.
Yeah.
It's a couple pages. Yeah, and there was a little off-topic discussion about how to preserve all these wonderful things we can do on the CBOR side. If you ever have to tunnel stuff through JSON, and I revealed something that has been hidden in plain sight for a year or so, which is that the CBOR diagnostic tools have such a tunnel mode. And I tried to cook up an example for my email, and of course immediately found a bug in it. So I have submitted a new version of CBOR diagnostic tools 5 minutes before the meeting. And yeah, that probably needs a couple more eyes. But I'm not currently proposing to standardize this until we gather more experience that this actually works right, and it's what people want to have, because there are, of course, tons of ways to tunnel CBOR through JSON.
You mean more than just making a JSON string and pack encoded CBOR through there?
Yeah, that's certainly one other way to do things. In some cases, that may actually be an efficient way of handling this. So.
Okay. The last point then would be the proposed tags for the extended diagnostic notation. I've just sent a mail about that 2 hours or so ago. Basically picking up on the tag 888 that might be the stand-in for the ... notation. And I think these would be useful. So my use case for having actual tags for the EDNs is primarily that I have many tools to use CBOR with, and I have exactly one tool to use CBOR diagnostic notation with in both directions, but especially in parsing. So any way to get EDN through that tool into the application that actually knows what those precise tags mean would be helpful. So the two tags I've proposed are one that uses so both would take the text name of the thing of the version of the EDN that's being used, say CRI, and then the variations are to have either the text version of the text version, so the thing that is actually marked in the diagnostic notation, say HTTP : / something. If you're wondering why I'm talking so slowly, I'm at the same time typing the examples down. So that would be either a tag that encapsulates a CRI string and then the actual CRI or a tag that uses that CRI string and then has the text literal that is supposed to be there in diagnostic notation. I'm not even sure we need the first one, but I think that the second one would be useful to separate the concerns of interpreting the diagnostic notation parts and representing them.
Well, I think the 8887 would be useful, so you can essentially keep the information that something is a CRI in a structure. So from the application point of view, 8887 would be transparent. It doesn't mean anything. But if you do a diagnostic output of the data, then the diagnostic notation processor can actually show what this stands for.
Yeah. Provided, of course, it does know that particular that particular label.
Right.
So I think there is not much harm that would come from registering those, and whether a tool would actually implement them would be a separate concern. But to me, in having the, so especially on the Python side, there, or on the side of everything where the processor does not yet have a particular schema to fit data into, there I think it's just helpful to have the intermediate form around when producing output and input, because a processor that has the schema information around could just do things in a single step. But when you just have a single object that you, a single variadic object that you pass around, this would really be helpful.
Yeah, we may want to rethink whether this is really harmless when we find the first 8887 in a live protocol exchange.
Yeah, but then again, I already have this example of what I expect what kind of harm I expect can come from having a tag 888. And some mitigation might be that that generic processes just scream when they see that, and especially tools that do diagnostics, unless they're explicitly instructed to not to let them through and accept them, because what is coming in is not CBOR as you see it on the wire, but CBOR as you receive it as part of a diagnostic output.
Yeah, so there is a more general concept called annotations. We might have a way to put something into CBOR that can be ignored at the level of the application that is supposed to process that CBOR, but that provides additional information for other applications that are looking at that CBOR, including diagnostic processors, but also other statistic tools, whatever. And we didn't think about a way to indicate annotations in 2013, and we might want to think about a way to use tags for that, so that any kind of annotation is visible as such. So this is pretty much the must process versus can ignore, or critical versus elective thing, with additional semantics that processing this tag is really elective, and you're supposed to take the right hand side as the meaning and the left hand side is the annotation, or vice versa. So it would be good to be able to identify that as a general concept, but I think we can think about ways of doing that. So when you look at the examples in the documents we are working, the next observation is that tools like the CDDL tool already have annotations in the diagnostic notation, and so this is put into diagnostic notation comments right now. And this is again a place where it would be good to be able to hand that over to tools.
Yep.
Okay.
Kind of if we want to, if these annotations are not something that is happening inline, but more as a, say, reification of CBOR, which is probably one way to do it, then we may want to consider that simultaneously with any machine readable version of CDDL, to avoid having diverging reifications of CBOR also on the binary level.
Yeah. So the the CDDL tool version 2 actually builds a parallel tree for the annotations. So it looks at the CBOR structure and then builds a tree that looks like the CBOR tree but has the annotation information in it. And this is a pain to do, but it's the only way I know to do this in a general sense. So if we have better ideas for handling annotations for CBOR, I would really be interested.
Something that I don't have a clear idea there, but something that I can do is look at what YAML processes do, because they often have ways of adding information about serialization and all those things back into the objects they are serializing.
I can tell you what I did for the CDL version 1 tool. I just used instance variables, but of course that only works for boxed types. And for unboxed types like integers and floats, I had to use delegate type. And unfortunately, there is a long-standing bug in Ruby that it cannot do delegates for floating point values correctly. So that stopped me in the tracks some time ago. So I never fully completed that annotation approach. Yeah, that's not a feature in Ruby, but it's just that the Ruby implementation I'm using doesn't do delegates for floats right. Yeah, instance variables are certainly the right way to do this at an implementation level, but yeah, then again we would need a way to transport instance variables in CBOR.
And then again, wind up having a different, an extra wire format for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that looks to me like something where a great bit of thought is needed still.
If we want to reap the maximum profit from doing it, yes. I mean, we can do anything at any time, but doing it right, maybe a little bit harder.
I mean, given that such annotations might be applicable to several tags that already have somehow transparent semantics, like anything that is numeric, big num style, we might need to retrofit these annotations onto tags anyway, so we could do the same also for the EDN tags, but knowing where things go probably makes it easier to do it later. Okay. Is there any experience we have in the group here about storing or expressing metadata of CDDL that of CBOR that we might, or any, do you have any pointers around, or any experiences that we might want to consider in this larger block?
What I need to ingest is the Yang metadata mechanism. They have essentially done something that is very, very XML specific, so it certainly won't port over to what we need, but it still might give us a nice set of requirements. And it's also interesting to look at the way they made this available in the JSON representation. We haven't done the work for Yang CBOR yet. So that probably should be part of a general view at the annotation issue.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, over in SDF, we have the mapping file idea, which is a way to have the metadata or the additional data be in a separate file and have pointers back to the main file. So that's also a way of doing that. I think that's just a very common pattern for which there are many solutions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then any other business anyone would like to bring up? Anything we should talk about today?
Just have a quick look at the meeting schedule. So we still have one meeting on the 9th.
Good point. I'll have to look myself. Yes, that's the schedule, and I'll stick with that.
Good. And that's after the draft deadline, right?
Yes, but then again, we don't have anything that we will present in a regular meeting during IETF 113 anyway. So it's just about whether any documents can be uploaded for the interim or not.
Yep.
Okay then. Thank you everyone for being here and participating. Thanks Marco for doing the minutes, and see you all in 2 weeks. And read you on the mailing list. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And reading the chat in a week at 1600. No 04, no 01. Bye.
No 04, no 0. Oh, okay. Yeah. And we're not meeting at IETF 113, I think, right?
Sorry, say again, please.
So we don't have a scheduled meeting at 113.
No, we don't.
No, okay. I just wanted to confirm that in
Yes.
there. Yeah. So, but we will see you, of course.
I'll be there. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful.
Okay. See you.